Get ready to reclaim your life, discover inspiring stories, practical tools, and the path to true happiness. This is Reclaim Your Life with Irina. Let's begin the journey. Hello and welcome to Reclaim Your Life with Irina. Today's guest is Catana Malinowski. I met Catana in a beautiful serving circle. And then we actually did a book together, The Sacred Surrender. But Catana is a transformational art and wellness strategist who helps professionals over 40 find relief from negative triggers and traumas through transformational art and life coaching. She recently launched her podcast, Transformational Art with Catana, making the unmanageable manageable. And she is the #1 international best-selling author. Welcome, Catana. It is a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much, Irina. It is such a pleasure to be here with you today.
Thank you. So tell us, how are you doing? How's it going? How's your Friday going?
Oh, things are going amazing. Lots of progress and forward movement and just incredible things unfolding.
Awesome. So please share with us your story. Who is Catana?
Who is Catana? Catana is a mom, a wife, an author, an artist, a nature lover, someone who loves to help people. Bigger picture, I want to save the world. And, you know, I really love to make people happy and to see people shine, especially since that was something that took me a long time to get.
I love that. That's one of, I love also making people happy.
Yes.
Awesome. Who is your hero?
Oh my gosh. Who is my hero? You know, it's funny that you asked that question. I have a lot of mentors now, whereas I stepped away from heroes when two of my heroes that I had when I was younger died. And I took a step back, and that was Dale Earnhardt Sr. Well, Dale Earnhardt and number 3 and Princess Diana. And one was a self-made person. The other one was a humanitarian that I like to fashion myself after, you know, just being in that space of unconditional love for people. And when they passed, there was a lot of introspect on that and just kind of looking at the hero and placing people on a pedestal thing. So I've moved into the place of mentors, people that I would like to empower myself to shine that brightly, you know, in that way and bring myself to. And I have quite a few of them, but the 3 top ones are Rhonda Britton, Tony Robbins, and Dan McPherson, as a matter of fact.
Oh, wow. What is one quality you admire in them? If you had to pick one.
The fact that these are people that overcame adversity as well. They came from pretty much the same background I did. And I see where they're at now. And that has led me to step into that space of going, you know, we all have dark days and they all look a little different to each one of us. And that doesn't have to define who we are. We get to create our lives, and they are where I'm working to be. And I know I'm going to be there because I've seen it. And just their resilience and their kindness, the heart-centeredness. At the same time, they're helping people find that for themselves.
I love it. Yes. The fact that, you know, that you want to do something like they do and you see them puts you even closer in that direction. So
yes.
Awesome. What makes you laugh?
First and foremost, babies that laugh. I love baby laughs. You know, it's contagious. If we could can it and give it to everybody in the world, we'd have a happier planet overall, because you just can't ignore a baby laugh. Baby laughs are just amazing. Animals animals make me laugh, because if you watch them, the things that they do, especially trying to occupy the same space with humans, they're very cautious about it until they're not. I've been hunted down by squirrels and hummingbirds, and I have so many animal stories. So it's funny you bring this up, because that's one of the books I'm writing, is about all of my animal stories, and I share them with people, and those make them laugh. And so, it gets back to that, making people smile and telling corny puns. I love puns. I just can't help myself. If the door opens, I take it.
Okay, share one.
Oh my gosh. Well, it kind of has to unfold more naturally, but
okay.
When it arises, I'll be sure to step into it.
Awesome. All right. What is your, when you were little, what was your dream growing up? Who did you want to become?
So I love this, because this is a question that I ask my guests as well. And I had a few different things that came up. And I wanted to be a welder. I wanted to be a jet pilot in the military. I wanted to be a fighter jet pilot. And my health and my vision, of course, sidelined that thought. And I wanted to be a professional artist, which I can now say that I've done that. And I'm not as far into that notoriety as I want to be, or wanted to be. I think I see it a little differently now. And when I was 4, I wanted to save the world.
I think we all
I'm
do.
on that mission, because my mission, of course, is to empower 10,000 people over 10 years to reclaim their inner strength, to live with more joy and peace in their lives.
I love it. And this is why you are here on this podcast, specifically, because it's all about reclaiming one's life. What was the point in your life that you had that wake-up call where you decided to reclaim your life?
I had more than one moment. And so it's kind of hard to pinpoint exactly one.
Okay.
But there was a short period there that kind of unfolded over the last, I'd say, 6 years. Yeah, I believe it's 6 years. I chose to get a divorce. And then I, of course, experienced many things in that space, just really having to step into taking care of myself, experiencing life on my own. My children were grown, have grandchildren. So it was empty nest and a divorce all at the same time. So that was a scary space. And not having a work history. I didn't work during that period of time. So it was an extra difficult space to navigate, to get through. And a longer story short is that when COVID hit, I was doing Lyft, Uber Eats. So I was what they call a 3-time sole proprietorship there, and I was building a nonprofit organization to help newly divorced people land on their feet. Since my experience had been, this is a difficult thing to do. And there weren't any resources for me to find to get help. And I was struggling. So that was something that I wanted to build that would help newly divorced people land on their feet. Sometimes it's just little things that can actually change a person's life forever in positive ways. Then COVID hit. And I would say that was the ultimate moment and pivotal moment of reclaiming my life. I lost everything. I lost the sole proprietorships. I ended up losing the nonprofit. I had to close it down because I couldn't run it from another state. I was in Nevada at the time. I was running for state senator. That came to an end because of COVID. I lost my house, lost my car, lost a lot of things, but I did get remarried. And I moved to a new place with a new name, completely walked away from everybody and everything. I did lose some people along the way, not to death, but to the fact that I chose myself. Mm-hmm. And they weren't comfortable with that. I was really surprised by the responses. And these people stepped away from me and said, "Never, we don't want to talk to you ever again." And that's that. So I found myself in a new place around new people I don't know, new name, new everything. And you couldn't get into a more, as an artist, the best way to describe that is somebody just handed me a blank canvas.
Okay.
And I struggled to get the pandemic unemployment assistance because I didn't qualify for traditional unemployment during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And I knew that had a timeline. I happened to get an email from Rhonda Britton, my mentor, and she invited me into a space for one of her free classes called Confidence Week. And that changed my life. That put me in the trajectory that I'm on today. It started there. As soon as I was done with that Confidence Week, first of all, she was somebody that I wanted to work with for decades. Since I saw her in the Starting Over program on TV, I was like, oh, I would love to do that. But at the time I had a family, I was in college, and, it just wasn't to be at that time. And it was interesting how the universe brings people back into your life that you're supposed to meet with and work with, or whatever their gift is to you. Well, her gift to me was the day that we had a one-on-one session, and she asked me about my photography project, which is online at www.catanasstory.com. And that is the work that is the foundation of what I do as a transformational art and wellness strategist. It's something I discovered and developed in my senior year in college. And it was my cathartic and therapeutic process that I then shared with the world. And it was very scary because, you're stepping out and you're saying, okay, look, world, I went through, mental, physical, and sexual abuse. I've been raped 3 times. I experienced, I attempted suicide 9 times before the age of 18, rape, systemic abuse, all of these things. And it's now out for the world to see because I believe in sharing our story. I happen to combine the visual and the language together. So the written, the verbal, and the visual together, and put that out there. And it continued, and I built, and then that was when I started joining the serving circle. I got into a business coach through her, actually. Mm-hmm. And it just continued to unfold more and more people into my life and my space. I came upon Payman Lorenzo and his podcasting program, which gave me a new venue for telling my story and amplifying my voice. And then I joined the book that I co-authored with you and 16 other amazing authors. And I realized that was a tell-all chapter. I included my website in there. And so all these years of fear that held me back from putting that out there, here it was now. And I had just put it in the hands of my family. At one moment, I was like, oh my gosh, what did I just do? And I'm okay with that now because it's all about healing. There's no shame, no blame. I see people through the lens of innocence and using the tools that they had at the time. And it's about forgiveness in that regard.
Yeah. Yes. I love your story, and wow, from where you've been to where you are now, and following your mentor and answering that call and going for that confidence week opened so many doors and change your life for the better. What what kind of advice can you share with people who are standing on that brink when stuff is no longer working? What is it that made you take that leap of faith and follow that calling and go for that confidence week?
For me, the simple answer is go with your intuition, your gut instinct. It's something that took me a long time to understand. I have nudges, downloads. These are words that I've just learned over the last year and a half. And I didn't know what those were, but they were showing up as, like premonitions and dreams, and primarily in my dreams. That's where, these things show up, and you get downloaded information and stuff. Sometimes I have them while I'm interacting with people, and I'll go, oh, and it'll come in and feed in. So trust your gut instinct that if you know intuitively that something isn't feeling right, step into what will make it feel good and bring you back to you. And sometimes that's hard to know. It took me a long time to identify who I was because of all my past experiences. I wasn't sure who that was. So that was a question that I grappled with from many people, including my therapist. I went through 22 years of traditional therapy. And I was like, well, I don't really know who I am. Outside of the narrative of the abuse, right. Who am I? That's a good question. Okay, I'm an artist. I'm a musician. I'm a mom. I love nature. And I started to break these things down. I love to go camping. I love to go fast. I love roller coasters. I would love to travel the world and do roller coasters. Oh my gosh. And I know my cardiologist is, his ears are burning right now going, no, don't do that. And it's just really important to recognize to love yourself first, and that happiness comes from within, and do whatever that is that's going to bring that light out to shine, and share your story, because there may be one person in your life that has heard you and you don't even know it. Might have been a conversation at the grocery store and they went, wow. And it changed their life, saved their life. It's all worth it.
Yes. Yeah. I was recently reading a review of our book, and it was inspiring to see, that, sharing your story is so important, and you might think nothing of it because you lived through it, but for somebody else, it could be something that could save their life.
And that makes it all worth it. Because the ripple effect is huge. One person, they say can affect 1,000, and 1,000 goes to 10, and that ripple effect just continues.
Yeah. And I can relate to your question about who you are, the identity question. Of course, my background is different, but I also came to that realization that I didn't know who I was outside of a label of I'm someone else's mom and I'm someone else's wife. But who am I? I had the same question, and that I was rediscovering through pursuing hobbies, through doing the personal development work, and getting back to that's important to love yourself. And yes, you generate happiness from within. We don't need to assign somebody else, okay, you're gonna make me happy, or I'm gonna get this job, or I'm gonna get this deal, and then I'm gonna be happy. So it becomes this pursuit that you're always in a running after it. Instead, it was always right inside of me. And
Yes.
anything that comes from outside is like cherry on the top, because you're already amazing, and then you have something extra to be grateful for.
Absolutely. You know, and I'd just like to add to that, that when we love ourselves first and we create our happiness, we attract that to ourselves. So all that struggle of seeking it goes away. It just comes in naturally. So that's awesome. Thank you for bringing that in.
Yeah. What motivates you?
I'm sorry, say that again.
What motivates you to work hard?
It's a combination of the fact that I made the choice to live. So it took me a long time to get there with the history and the things that were going on in my life for up to until my late 40s. I realized, you know, I really didn't care to live because I didn't think it was possible. I figured life was nothing but, you know, pain and misery and garbage. And I had, you know, with my medical problems and all of the other things. And then that moment that I chose to live, that was when I stepped into getting a divorce. That's when I stepped into finding out, you know, living into my space. And so wanting to live and wanting to help people in that same space. So not only wanting to help myself, but help others at the same time really lit me up, which is why I was running for state senator in Nevada, was because it gave me a greater opportunity to help people like myself. You know, I was politically active. I have an anti-corruption award from the New York City Independents, and I really, really worked to go to the legislature, and I helped get affordable housing bill passed, increase in minimum wage. So these are things that were very passionate for me. So it really was about empowering myself and empowering people, you know, so that's really what motivates me. And I have 2 granddaughters
Awesome.
that I would like to see thrive and excel in their lives.
I love it. What is your proudest accomplishment?
Oh my goodness. There's actually quite a few that I can think of. Choosing one, that is the hardest thing for me. That's like saying, choose your favorite movie. Although I came up with one yesterday. It's Star Wars. I'm a Star Wars person. And I mean, I have some pretty fantastic achievements. One, becoming a mom of 3 amazing people. The second one would be when I got my master's degree in legal studies with an emphasis in constitutional law. That was after an AA degree in art, a bachelor's degree in art with a minor in journalism, advertising sequence. I'm kind of all over the place here. And meeting President Obama in person and having him grab me and give me a big hug. Yeah, that's, you know, and I told myself, you know, that only happens to a few rare people. And I became one of those few rare people. So you never know when those beautiful moments will show up. And to me, and then of course, stepping into the last year and a half, being able to work with my mentors and becoming who I am today, where I get to help people. And I just recently completed my first 90-day program with a client, my new program.
Woohoo.
And they are thriving and skyrocketing and just so happy. And yeah, there's some pretty amazing achievements to celebrate, including the book, of course, becoming an author, which I always wanted to be.
I think it's incredible. You're amazing. I'm grateful to know you because of how many amazing things you already have done, and you have a whole life in front of you. You look so young to be a grandma.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I think it's a good reminder for us because when we look back, we actually do have quite a few, even where the bad things are. There are still some pretty amazing things that happen in our lives if we choose to see them.
Sometimes we're in a rush to get that next great thing and we forget to acknowledge how much we have already done. Yes. Sometimes it's people outside of us can point to you, oh, you did this, and you're like, oh, I don't remember. Or because we don't spend the time, to celebrate those wins as we get them along the way. We're always in pursuit of the new goal.
Not only do we forget to recognize it for ourselves, but sometimes it's difficult because society often looks at self-celebration as being selfish or conceited or, somehow a bad thing to do. Yet when we get back to that concept of happiness comes from within, then our self-celebrations are our way of rewarding ourselves to be motivated to achieve those next things.
Yeah, totally. I love that. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you want to share?
Yes, what my favorite movie was, but I shared it. It's Star Wars. Yes, I love science, and I guess I left that out earlier. I am very much a left brain, right brain person. I love analytics. I started college going into become a CPA, because it was safe. It's a career. It's common. It'll pay off any student loans that I had taken. And of course, life has a way of unraveling things in a different way. And that was when I got directed to by outside people actually saying, you're an artist, pursue your art. Okay, I'll step into that. And I have no regrets at all about all of the different things that I've stepped into trying to learning. I've done medical transcription. Oh my gosh, what do I have so many different aspects, in the political life. And I love it all. And the science. I have inventions that I'm working on.
Wow.
And I'm waiting for those to come to fruition as time progresses here. And, one of them is capturing moisture in arid climates with found objects.
Wow.
Yes. So yes, I have all kinds of fun things that I just like to do. It's very satisfying.
Awesome. What is going on in your life right now? What are you excited about? Are you working on something amazing?
Yes, I just said yes to my second book, Revolutionary Leaders. And I'm doing workshops now, collaboratively with people. Mm-hmm. Which is another way of getting your story out in another way. We're doing workshops that are, it's 3 workshops, and the series is The Art of Communication, Transforming Lives to be Seen, Heard, and Understood. And it's to help parents, grandparents, educators, and mentors build better communication with their tweens and teens. So it's bringing those people together for a series of 3 workshops, because I was a difficult teen. I was a throwaway child, so I had a lot of difficulties. And the mentors that stepped up into my life, once as a 5th grade teacher and then one was a police officer. And I believe that if we can build the communication with, at-risk youth between back to the parents and back to the mentors and back to the educators so that they understand what to look for and then how to communicate in a way that keeps both parties safe, sacred, heard, seen, and understood. I feel like we can reduce the number of teens and tweens that feel isolated and seek out different ways of dealing with that, with their difficulties.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Congratulations on your second book. And the workshops, I think, are incredible and are so needed. And it is true that, not just kids, but everybody wants to be seen, heard, and understood. And I think that's what's missing. And you provide that key ingredient, especially at this awesome age of when just they're forming to be adults, the teenage years. So congratulations. I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
If people would like to find you or work directly with you, where would they go?
The best place to find me is on Facebook and LinkedIn. They can follow me on Instagram. I'm not as active there as I have been in the past. I will start being a little more active there. But right now, Facebook and LinkedIn are the two best places because I'm updating my information. And they can always email me at katana.anewperspective@gmail.com. Mm-hmm. And I would love to have a conversation with folks and anybody who's interested in being on my podcast as well. If they'd like to be a guest, I'm all open for that. By all means, reach out. I'd love that.
Sure. What kind of guests are you looking for your podcast?
I am looking for people who have transformed, who help people transform, and who have alternative modalities to transformation. Mm-hmm. It's all things transformational.
Awesome. I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story, your wake-up moment. It's all about reclaiming one's life, finding one's identity. And I think you are a champion in that. And thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you. So thank you.